program is intended for mature audiences.
A democratic republic of sports. The Sportsocracy with ESPN Asheville hosts Tank Spencer and Jeremy Greene.
And welcome back into the Sportsocracy. I'm Tank Spencer. Jeremy Greene is alongside, and welcome into the happy hour as we will. It's a Top 13 Tuesday. Top 13 Tuesdays where we give another list of Jeremy's favorites in the upcoming NFL draft. And today we're doing running backs. This could have been a list 3 times as long, correct?
No.
Maybe not that much.
No. For me, this was the perfect spot because there was a clear delineation between the guys that didn't make the list. If this list had been longer, the next 2 that would have made it would have been Zonovan Knight out of NC State.
Okay.
He would have been 14.
Okay.
And Hassan Haskins out of Michigan would have been 15. I don't see... The thing for me with running backs is that there's so little difference for me between 14 and let's go just a ways down. Max Borghi out of Washington State. Not a huge difference between those guys.
Mm-hmm.
And there are a lot in that tier in this draft. But for me, the top 13 clearly delineate themselves. And we have an announcement for this is one of my favorite weeks of the year. It's Senior Bowl week.
That's right.
So Saturday, Tank has a UNCA basketball game.
Mm-hmm.
So I have lined it up that we will be doing a live stream, just like we did the live stream for the AFC and NFC championship games. And it will be me and armchair commentary.
Nice.
So it'll be armchair and I. If anybody else who wants to join in, feel free. We'll have a good old time.
Just breaking down Senior Bowl.
And you'll get to see me be as nerdy as humanly possible.
Okay.
Because I will get more excited at the Senior Bowl than I got over either of the championship games.
That'll be fun.
This is a flush Senior Bowl too.
I will be watching from home. I'm gonna take some time, all the time that I can get to spend with my family this weekend because I am now on MLK Day. MLK Day was the only day I was not up here for a basketball game or for this show or for the playoff games or something over this past month. So I'm gonna be I'll be at home. I'll be in the chat though. I'll be watching the Senior Bowl as well because this is the first. I mean, last year I really didn't get into the draft all that much. We didn't ramp up our draft coverage until right at Senior Bowl, and I wasn't really interested. But now that I have been through the process and Jeremy's nerddom has seeped over onto me, I am very interested in the Senior Bowl as well.
There's a lot of guys, and I'm going to do a preview of the Senior Bowl. That one you actually will be involved in. So if you'd like to take a gander at the rosters and see if there's, I'm going to put a graphic out probably tomorrow. You have a UNCA game tomorrow, so I can tell you we will not be recording that tomorrow.
Right.
It'll be more likely Friday that gets recorded. So if you have Senior Bowl questions, if there's somebody that you would like to have featured in that, whatever the case may be, my goal is to put a preview out Friday night for the game Saturday. There's about 20 guys in this game that I'm really waiting to see. Matthew Hoffman, we will be at Radio Ranch. You are more than welcome to drop by. There will be another seat by me because Armchair will not be occupying it because
he's Canada. Yeah,
he's a Canadian. So it's going to be. Alex Majavi said some really good tape today from practice at the Senior Bowl. I DVR'd it, so that's HWA. That's your night tonight.
Oh no!
How excited are you?
Oh.
That's a lie. I'll do it after she falls asleep. Senior Bowl week is just one of those weeks that I know I'm not going to sleep. Yeah, I'll sleep when I'm dead.
Mm-hmm.
That's the reason they do this week because, you can only talk about the Bengals and the Rams so much.
Right.
So very, very excited for the Senior Bowl. Look for the preview on Friday.
Top 13 running backs in the 2022 NFL draft. And we've been doing these wonky. We had been doing these 1 through 13. We should be doing these in reverse order to unveil the number one.
Yes. So today we will be doing it that way. So we start with the bottom 5 of the top 13.
All right. Bottom 5 of the top 13. At number 13, Tyler Allgeier from BYU.
I still maintain that he says his name wrong. It's Tyler Allgeier is how that's how that's spelled. So I don't know how he says it.
Yeah.
I'm going to level with you, and I'm going to be as honest about this as I can be. I don't watch tape with commentary. So I don't know how these guys' names are. I know how I pronounce them in my head until I get the NFL draft guide, which should be out the end of this month. It's February now. Mm-hmm. Tyler Allgeier is a guy that or Allgeier, or however you pronounce it.
I'm looking it up right now. I'll tell you.
If there's a kid in this draft that's going to turn into Austin Eckler, it's him. The thing that would scare me, he could not catch a cold if you soaked him in water and dropped him in an ice chest. That makes me nervous. He's built like a brick shithouse. 5'11", 220, thickly built. Everything about the way he's built running back wise is modern day NFL. He's very, very fast. 4.4 to 4.45, somewhere in there. There are a lot of guys that I have to see the tape. I did not watch a lot of BYU this year. Just so happened that I watched the USC game and I watched one other. I've had to catch up on BYU, and the more I've watched them, the more I fall in love with this kid. And in the right system, he needs to do the opposite of what the Chargers need to do. The Chargers need to find that between the tackles runner. I'm afraid a team's going to draft him to do that, and that's not going to be his best path forward. Because what he does very well right now is run between the tackles. The only problem is he's very inconsistent. I think he needs to be schemed for vision purposes. His vision's not great. He hesitates too much, kind of stays at the line, and when he's running downhill, one cut, he would be great in a zone blocking scheme, by the way. San Francisco, the Jets, somewhere that the hole is basically manifest for you. You just have to find it and go. He'd be great.
It's Allgeier, by the way.
I still think that's wrong, but you say your name wrong. It's okay. A lot of people say their name's wrong. It's fine. But yeah, I like this kid. Not a great blocker. He's going to have to learn a lot of the nuance of the NFL game. But if he learns it, there are not many running backs in this draft that I think could be better if properly coached than Tyler Allgeier.
Mm-hmm. At number 12, Rachaad White from Arizona State.
I'm a level. There are a lot of people that are higher on this kid than I am. Mm-hmm. I'm not down on him per se. He's very tall, which is not always something I love in running backs. He's tall and thin, but I think he can be a very good third down running back in the NFL. The thing that scares me, he can't pass block to save his life. And that just makes me nervous. It makes me nervous of a guy that I think the best thing you do is receive out of the backfield. When you can't block, it almost makes you irrelevant because you tip plays off. Because they see you back there and they go, okay, even if he does try to check an edge rusher, it's not going to matter because he's going to get freight trained. Mm-hmm. He's not as thick. I would like to see him probably gain 20 good pounds of muscle. He does that one thing that, and you'll hear me say this about a couple running backs, because there's one that's in the top 5 that I feel the exact same way of what I'm about to say about him. He does all of the really easy things really well. He can run in a straight line. Mm-hmm. If the hole's there, he's going to hit it. Mm-hmm. And once he gets in the hole, he can burn your ass. Because I would say he will run somewhere in the neighborhood of a 4.45. Good speed for him would be 4.45. I would say if he goes below a 4.55, then you could see a bit of a free fall. The things that take the most time to develop are the things he doesn't do well. So I'm probably more down on him than many people in the industry are. Which is funny because I'm much higher on the guy at 11 than others in the industry are.
And at number 11, that's where you have D'Vonte Price out of Florida International.
He was on the Chase Claypool list. This is a kid that I think can be, if given the time, he can come into an NFL system and do just tremendously wonderful things. There is some tape on him that is intoxicatingly good. There's some not as great tape. on him. But I think the raw tools are there in the right system. So it's a question of what that system is. He's one of those it's a very difficult him and Pierre Strong. It's a kid that's out of South Dakota State. South Dakota State. That's right.
Okay. You're right. South Dakota State.
Okay.
Yeah. You're right.
Okay, just if you're a small state, just okay, one of you gets to be a state. North Dakota State, South Dakota State, I confuse them constantly.
You're right, South Dakota.
The things that D'Vonte Price has to do better are really easy to fix. He's never going to be a pass blocking back, but he can't catch. So I don't care. I don't care that he's not going to be a pass blocker because this is going to be a kid that you bring in to run between the guards. And there are very few kids in this class that do it as well as he does. Body-wise, he's built like Rachaad White is, except he's not. If you just look at the measurables, you would think they're roughly the same size. They do not look the same size. They don't look the same size on tape. They don't look the same size when they run. If I didn't know any better, I would think D'Vonte Price outweighed him by 20 pounds. And to me, I would love to see him with the LA Chargers.
As the between the tackles guy.
Yeah. I'm not down on Larry Roundtree. I like this kid a lot. And he's somebody that I don't think the industry's caught up to. I could see him blowing the combine out of the water. I mean, one of those guys that we're talking about his workout. If he runs faster than I think he will, of which he's in that same 4.45, 4.55 range. If he runs particularly well, then you start looking at the rest of the workout, I could see him just screaming up boards.
What's the max? How high do you think he can go?
How highly could he be drafted?
Yeah.
I would say he falls in the beginning of day 3 right now. I could see him getting into the back end of the second round.
Okay.
He's that good.
Okay.
And this is going to be one of those drafts. There's not as many no-doubters. Usually running back, you have like 5 guys that you feel, okay, you can be a starting running back in the NFL. Then there's a slew of guys that get into the platoon. I don't feel that way this year. There's one guy I look at and go, you're a no-doubt down-in, down-out starter. And it's the guy that will ultimately be one on this list. Everybody else, I think they have a role.
Okay.
Could they develop into that? Sure. I've had a pretty good track record with running backs. I never understood why people were down on Dalvin Cook. Well, lo and behold, I was freaking right.
So D'Vonte Price to you is the big bruiser in a committee.
I'm not going to say he's the big bruiser. He has very good eyes. And that kind of and he's so thick that it makes it look like he's this big, burly downhill running back. He's still very, very fast. Not a great blocker. He's not really a good pass blocker.
But you'd think at that size they could teach him. They could teach him how to throw a body in front of somebody. It's harder to do that than people think. Yeah. I mean, he's 6.
It's very rare that somebody, and it can be scheme. And that's another part of this. I don't think he was coached very well. But Butch Davis was, I don't care. Butch Davis was Seacrest out 2 fucking years ago. So Butch Davis has been cashing a paycheck for quite some time.
Right.
Stephen Tao asked, is he Gus Edwards? That's not a bad comp. I think he's faster than Gus.
Okay. At number 10, Zach Charbonnet. UCLA, transferred from Michigan. He's a speedy bastard. I could say that.
He is, but there's one thing about him that I can't figure out.
Okay.
Why did you never get more run than you did? His entire career across 2 schools, he was never a featured guy. There's also a possibility that he comes back. I haven't seen the declaration on him yet. I know I'm not seeing him on a lot of boards, so it's entirely possible that I've missed it.
I don't know. I'm
going to check it to see if he's...
Honestly haven't...
He is coming back.
Oh, he is coming back.
He is coming back. All right, so Zach Charbonnet, he's not good. I also misspelled his name on the graphic. Fuck.
All right, so he's no longer on the list. So Zonovan Knight comes in.
Welcome to the top 13.
Zonovan Knight with a bullet at number 13 from NC State.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I don't do the best job of with this coronavirus year shit. I don't do the best job of.
Who's coming back?
He was
who's
no
not.
doubt he's going into the draft, because if I'm a running back and I think I could be drafted at all, I'm coming out.
Mm-hmm. Well, you don't. I mean, obviously, you take a hit if you take a pounding.
Yeah, and that's. I don't love the decision that he's coming back. I get why he's doing it, I guess. I don't think it's going to increase your value at all.
Right. All right. So do you want to talk about Zonovan Knight real quick? Or Bam, as he's known?
Every day as a field trip said, a speedy bastard. I wish these were the real scouting reports.
Yeah.
You'd be shocked how often they are. You would be shocked how many scouting reports read exactly how I talk about these guys.
Yeah. That's what I said. So.
Some of them are insanely, let's see, how do I say this nicely? They're not nice. There are some, nice is not something you see in a lot of scouting reports.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of blind, unbelievable honesty.
Right.
So, with Zach Charbonnet coming back, I figure I might as well just bounce to Zonovan Knight.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of things to like about him. I just don't see 3 down back in him. He's a first two down back in the committee.
Yeah.
I would love to see him in somewhere like Philadelphia. Philadelphia just doesn't really appear to give a damn about Miles Sanders.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and he's hurt a lot. I understand that. I would like to see him in kind of a committee role.
Right.
If you were building a running back, size-wise, it would be Zonovan Knight. I mean, if you cast one out of stone, it would be Zonovan Knight.
I mean, just under 6 foot, 210 pounds. He's got a lot of power. That's the one thing that always stuck out with me when I saw them play.
He is very stout, and he's got a phenomenal stiff arm.
Mm-hmm.
The reason that he was not initially on this list, and I had to audible it late, because Zach Charbonnet went back to school, and I didn't know that. There's an injury history with him that I really want to make sure the medical checks out, and I have better ways of accessing that than most.
Mm-hmm.
If I start hearing we red flagged the medical, then I'll let you know that. If he passes the medical, he belongs in the top 13. But to me, he has one of the biggest red flags on his medical of any running back in this class.
Yeah.
I can't think of one better.
Okay.
Or I can't think of one that I more need to see.
Right.
Because there are things in his past that, I mean, he could be taken off boards.
Mm-hmm. But not only does he bring the power, but I mean, he can catch out of the backfield. He can kick return. He can do a lot of things. And
there's a lot of tread on the tires, too, because he was never the only running back.
No, because he had Ricky Person beside him every year. And those guys were still 1,000-yard rushers, both. A shocker of shockers, Tank saying something nice about NC State football, but that was the one thing I loved about this team was those 2 running backs and Aquano, who's also going to go in very high in this draft.
He will go very high.
Yeah, probably higher than you think. At number 9, a guy I'm really in love with, brought me a national championship, Zeus, Zamir White out of Georgia.
I am in love with one Georgia running back. It's not this one.
It's not this one.
No, and we'll talk about James Cook more later than you think.
Okay.
I don't have a problem with Zamir White.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm about in lockstep with what you'll see from other people on him. I just can't figure out exactly what his role is. So, all right, I'm going to let you go as the Georgia not technical,
right?
What you saw of him as a running back, and then I will tell you what my issue with that is.
Okay, I like James Cook as well, and I can't wait to talk about him coming up later on in this list. But to me, Zamir was he was the guy that was always there. He was the guy that you could count on him in any situation. It didn't really matter. You could throw in the ball, but they like to do that with Cook more. Zamir still has the hands. He still has the ability to play at the next level, and he's just got this burst that if he gets away, you're fucked. Mm-hmm. And that's what I love about him. And not only that, but he's also a kid that brings a lot of power. He's not afraid to lower the shoulder and put a hit on a linebacker. Might get him in trouble at the next level, but also I think it's going to earn him some extra. He's just a fighter. He's a fighter for extra yardage, and that's one of the things I love most about this kid.
He's the worst pass blocker I've ever seen.
I knew there was going to be some. There's a word in there somewhere. He's the worst pass blocker I have ever seen.
Mm-hmm. Like, to the point of, and it's not just that, he can't catch either. Which is,
he
cannot catch. He gives you damn near nothing as a receiver. My problem with Zamir White, there are red flags with the medical because he's got he's torn his ACL twice. So that obviously makes me nervous. That's going to push him down anyway. As soon as I start seeing medicals on running backs, I'll run the opposite direction.
Right.
You're never going to teach him to be a good blocker. And trust me, with the ball in his hands, I love him. The problem is there's 50 of those guys in this class.
Mm-hmm.
He's also a guy that I think is going to run in the high 4.3s. He was a high-end track star in high school. But he doesn't play that fast. He plays that fast when he gets by you.
Mm-hmm.
But then I never see that. And it's the raw on him. There's probably not a running back in this class that's got more raw talent than him. I just don't see it. And you were playing in such a good situation because you're so much more talent. The talent around you is so much better than so many people so many teams that you come up against. And there would be times he would just disappear. Like, he would get the ball and you'd go, oh yeah, I forgot about it. You're here.
Right.
You're here. Now, and I'm going to say something about Zamir White that it's the exact converse of something I've already said about another running back. He never got all of the workload. And for him, it's a negative because I don't think he can handle the full workload. I think if you tax him as a workhorse running back and you draft him that way, which means you take him the first 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
You take a running back the first 2 days, you expect them to be your guy at some point. Because to me, if I'm just going to rotate running backs out, I'll take 2 of them in day 3 and away we'll go.
Right.
And I'll do this every single year.
I don't think he'll last that long. I mean, the medical might push him that far.
Well, here's the thing. He never re-aggravated the ACL.
Mm-hmm.
So you talking about Zonovan Knight, the medical's more of a red flag to me on him than it is on Zamir White.
Mm-hmm.
But 2 ACLs does make me nervous. And the tape just doesn't scream at me. He had a lot of good runs against teams that they are way better than.
True.
He did have a good national title game.
Mm-hmm.
So that tape changed it a little bit because I'm not going to lie to you, he was lower than this before the national title. I think I pushed him up 2 spots on that one game because it's the first time I'd really seen him do that against a super high-level competition.
Right.
Don't give me Tennessee. But before anybody says Tennessee, look, I am the Tennessee defender on this show, so do not throw your shade in my direction.
Yeah, no, for me that's but he did it against Tennessee. So there's that. All right, at number 8, getting into the top 8 here, Jerrion Ealy out of Ole Miss.
I have a sound effect for this.
These tomatoes aren't even ripe.
I love this kid. And when I say and I'm not saying, drunk guy at a bar talking to the pretty girl that is going to touch his wee-wee. I love this kid in a way that I have only loved cake, Camel menthols, beer. I am drunk in love on Jerrion Ealy. He's short. I get it. He is the most electric back in this class, and it's not even fucking debatable. If you argue with me on that, there are 2 sides of every argument. There is the right side and the wrong side, and you will be on the wrong side. I don't actually have a knock on him other than his height. That's all I got. I don't have another knock on him.
Just a wee little feller.
He is probably going to be 5'8".
5'8".
He's probably going to be 5. Ole Miss listed him at 5'9.5". I got news for you. If he's 5'9.5", I'm 6'7". And I'm not.
The measurement I'm looking at says 5'8", 190.
He's just a wispy little flat feller, but my God, is he fast. What I said about Zamir White, he's the exact opposite. I don't know that he's going to run as fast as he plays. But if you watch Ole Miss, he gets out in a clearing, and you are fucked. And everybody knew it. I can't remember. I want to say it was Auburn. They played a game against Auburn, and he hits the corner, and I swear to you, I watched two safeties go, oh, fuck. And he's not even by him yet.
They just looked at each other.
They still have the chance to take the angle on him. And they just went, oh, shit. And you genuinely could actually see them go, oh, no. He's not a great pass protector, but he's good enough. At his size, he's good enough. Because when you get into somebody that's this much of a flash and can be this good as a receiver, you can't just bullet blitz at them. Because if you do, there is an entire possibility that they're going to leak out behind you, and now it's him and a safety.
Right.
And he's faster than that safety. Almost invariably, he's going to be faster than that safety. He's not a bell cow running back. No, he's not. He's not going to be a 20 carry a game guy. Can he be a 12 carry a game guy? Yeah. 12 touch a game guy.
So he could be a
Darren Sproles. There's no other comparison.
Oh, okay.
There is no other comparison.
I was trying to think of somebody who's playing right now in like J.D. McKissick. He could play that role for somebody.
Way faster than J.D. McKissick.
Really? Because he's.
I hit my bell instead of my cough button.
Speaking of speedy bastards.
Yeah, Jerrion Ealy has a gear that I have not seen many times out of running backs.
Okay. Jerrion Ealy comes in at number 8 on the top 13 list of 2022 NFL draft running backs.
And I'll put it this way. If he was 6 foot tall, he'd be the only first-round running back in this draft. The fact he's 5'8" is the reason you're going to be able to get in the back end of the second round, beginning of the third. If he had bell cow running back size, he would be the first-round running back here. But he doesn't, and he won't.
At number 7, Jerome Ford from Cincinnati.
You remember that thing I said about Zamir White went up because of the game against Alabama?
Yes.
Yeah, Jerome Ford went down.
He went down.
Because he looked like he didn't belong for a vast majority of that game. Now, I put a lot of that on Desmond Ridder because Alabama was not scared of him in the least. There are things to like about this kid. It's almost all with the ball in his hands. Almost all of it's with the ball in his hands. Not a particularly good blocker, which is weird because he's built like a kid that should be able to block. He's not very good at it. Height, weight, speeds, like I said about a running back earlier, he's built perfectly. And he's pretty fast. I just think he's faster in a pair of shorts than he is on the field. And he plays that between the tackles role really well. He's not a receiver. Not a receiver, not much of a blocker. The thing that caught me against Alabama is how indecisive he was. The first hole's not there, and there's no patience. This is, think, anti-Le'Veon Bell. The thing that Le'Veon Bell did so well is that he was so patient that he would wait on a second hole. Jerome Ford doesn't wait on the first hole from time to time. And he'll just run up a lineman's ass and fall down. The raw talent is great. And that's, for me, in a running back is what I'm looking for. There's not the deficiencies, they're going to be very similar. I mean, there's about 4 different skill sets that running backs have that come into the draft. I mean, if you've come this far, you probably realize that I've already said 3 of them.
Yep.
Either you're a really good blocker or you don't have great hands. Or you're a horrid blocker, but you're really good between the tackles. Or you're a really good receiver, but you can't block. It's just, basically with running backs, you take 4 character traits, and you give them 2, and you take 2 away. That's almost exclusively how running backs come in this league.
Yep.
And Jerome Ford is the last one that I have 2 in this column and 2 in this column. After him, it gets into 3 and 1, and then there's one that he can just do everything. Like, no matter what you ask him to do, he can do it.
This is why I love draft coverage so much, by the way, because I get to learn so much about these guys from Jeremy, and then I also get to read things like that. I just want to read you this little sentence here about Jerome Ford in one of these scouting reports. Ford is a disciplined runner that plays within himself while doing a terrific job of blending decisiveness with patience.
And that is a lie. That is what a lie sounds like.
So yeah,
and here's the thing: he can do that against East Carolina.
Right.
That doesn't translate. You don't get to play East Carolina in the NFL. At no shot at East Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
Love East Carolina. Love Mike Houston. But I just feel like anybody that said that, you're watching the tape against low-level competition.
Right, and he won't be able to do that.
It ain't hard to be – it's not hard to be patient when you're the best team in your conference by a mile.
Right.
It's really hard to be patient when you are at a talent disadvantage. And if I'm going to take a guy in the third round, you better come with that. Alex Majabi asked me, where is the perfect fit for Jerome Ford? This is going to be a weird roundabout way of saying this. If the Dallas Cowboys could somehow lose Ezekiel Elliott's contract, like, you just never signed it. Sorry you didn't send it to your agent, dickhead.
Right.
Him paired with Tony Pollard would be fantastic.
Okay.
Other places that I would like Jerome Ford,
Houston.
Any running back in Houston would be better than Rex Dickhead. It shouldn't have said that. I actually like Rex Burkhead. He's really annoying for fantasy purposes. I'll tell you where I would really like Jerome Ford as the 2 in Tennessee. The second running back to Derrick Henry. That's where I'd really like him.
All right.
Because I think he could play in that scheme quite nicely, and they do a lot of the same things. But he would be a good spell. Deontay Foreman's a good comp to him now that I think about it.
Mm-hmm. I
don't like doing comps.
At number 6, Kyren Williams out of Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I may not be high enough on him. And I know what people are going to say, but he had so many games where he was completely irrelevant. Mm-hmm. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know that. I am fully versed on that. His last year at Notre Dame was not particularly impressive. He's not as big as you would want him to be. He's another 5'9", 5'10" running back. But his good, some bitch, his good is good. And it was against high-level competition. I've seen him do things that I haven't seen other running backs in this class do. He's the inside-outside ability. A lot of running backs can run between the tackles or they can run outside the tackle. It is a rare trait to be able to do both. He can do both. I also think he is a markedly better receiver than you saw at Notre Dame. One of the problems that I think he had this year, Jack Cohn's not a great screen pass quarterback. Mm-hmm. He's not a great swing pass quarterback. He's a press it down the field kind of guy. Play action kind of guy. Well, it's not really what plays into what Kyren Williams does. And this is a guy I think will go into the league and will be drastically better than what you saw at Notre Dame. I think there's a lot of talent that you did not see come out. Very good top-end speed. I don't know how fast he's going to run because I can't get a good gauge on it. He's one that could go real fast. He could go real fast. Not Jerrion Ealy fast, but a step behind that.
Frankie Cleary asks in the comments, do you think that some running backs can block, but they just refuse to?
Some of it's scheme. You can get duped. You can get duped by a running back that doesn't block well because they're in a scheme that doesn't ask them to. Spreads tend to be really bad for that. Delay blocks. So I'm going to leak out. There's an art to that. And some running backs are never coached on that. This is not go 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, and run.
Right.
And some guys do that. That's something I look for on film. If you start getting quarterbacks killed, I start watching how often do you either delay block or how often do you, I don't want to say it's a fake, but you kind of make the head movement like you're going to block to try to get them to go around you.
Make them step to the side and save a split second. Yeah.
And I don't know if it's dependent on the teams. Sometimes that's a scheme thing. Sometimes it's a freelance thing. I don't really know what word I'm looking for right there.
Well, I mean, I just saw in the comments they were talking. Rob Johnson had mentioned Chuba Hubbard was in a class of his own and can't block.
Yeah, he's
and I think that's where that question came from was, can he block, but he just refuses to?
No, he can't do it. I can't pee over my own shoulder, and Chuba Hubbard cannot block. Those are two things undeniable. He cannot do it.
But again, the question was, do you think that some running backs can block, they just don't want to? And I would say I'm sure there's a lot of that goes on.
That's why we use the term willing blocker.
Right.
God, I hate
Damn it. I hate that you're the one that brought that up before I did this draft season.
I absolutely hate that phrase. Matthew Hoffman asked, could Ford be a backup to Mixon and stay in Cincinnati? He could. I wouldn't hate it, but I think it's kind of a hat on a hat with Samaje Perine. It's kind of redundant. Well, I mean, Samaje Perine is just really inconsistent. I would say the high side of Perine is actually better than Ford, but the low side is Ford's better.
Yeah,
I'd say he's more consistent. That's the politically correct way to say that.
That's fair. Very fair. How about number 5 on the list from Michigan State, Kenneth Walker III?
I'm going to let you wax poetic about him for a second because I know you are drunk in love with him.
I do. I mean, he was a kid that I saw, at Wake Forest. Not that I watched a whole lot of Wake Forest football, but, being in the ACC and their ACC country, you do get exposed to these guys a little more. And when he transferred to Michigan State, I thought, that's got a chance. I'm not sure what Michigan State's going to look like with him, but then I started seeing him roll up four touchdown games. And I went, okay, I think there's something special in this kid that even I didn't see.
The Michigan tape is special. You go back and watch the Michigan tape, and you would it's games like that ultimately lead to teams taking running backs in the first round. The only Kenneth Walker has one huge problem.
What's that?
He don't know how to take a single. If the blocking dictates a 3-yard run, you need to get those 3 yards. Don't extend this out and lose 2 because he loves to do that. I thought, because I might have had Michigan beat Michigan State, and it didn't go my way. The problem for Kenneth Walker is he's so good breaking tackles because he is. If you try to arm tackle him, he's going through you.
Oh yeah.
He's so good at doing that I feel like he gives up what he gains too often. Take what the defense gives you. I cannot get past Kenneth Walker being the second running back in Buffalo.
I think I'd really like that.
Devin Singletary, as multiple as he is, and Kenneth Walker with the ability to just run you over. Because in my head, I have this vision of the RPO with Josh Allen and Kenneth Walker and linebackers getting their feet misplaced, and you don't get the good surge at whoever has the ball, and they run you the fuck over because they both can. I'm afraid Kenneth Walker's going to go too high. I'm afraid he's going to go to Miami. I do not want him in Miami under any freaking circumstances. He doesn't do the ancillary things well enough. This is a guy you're just asking to be a running back. He's going to be fantastic. I think he can be a tremendous running back in this league. I don't know that he's ever going to be a good enough blocker to be a 3-down guy. And my fear is that he's going to go so high that he has to. I would like Kenneth Walker at the back end of round 2, beginning of round 3. Back into round 2 with a team that made the playoffs, has another running back, Buffalo. Or at the beginning of the 3rd round with a team that needs another piece to something they already have, like the New York Jets. I would like Kenneth Walker in and I don't love him in the zone block scheme because I don't know that he's ever going to take the single. I don't know that he's ever going to be able to do that.
Right.
But I've been wrong about zone backs before. Zone running schemes are really easy to figure. It's very easy to look at a guy and go, you'd fit in that really well. It's when you watch them and go, I don't think you would do that well. You can miss. It's just like Elijah Mitchell. If you remember last year when they took him, I said on our draft coverage, he's the better of those two running backs.
Yes, you did.
Because Trey Sermon does not fit in this. And I was right about both.
You were.
But I don't want it to sound like I don't like Kenneth Walker. I really do. I'm just afraid he's going to get put in a situation that is not advantageous for him.
Right. At number 4, Brian Robinson out of Alabama.
Yeah. This is a kid that I'm pretty fond of. Brian Robinson.
You're drunk on him,
and I have been. This is not but look what he did in that. Nope. I've thought this since Najee Harris walked out of the building. When he got drafted last year, on our draft coverage, I said, you watch, Brian Robinson's going to be a day 2 pick next year.
Mm-hmm.
Plenty of tread left on the tires. Great build. Brian Robinson's another one that's built like somebody that's just going to run your ass over. He's good enough at all the other things. He's not good at it. There's not a lot of guys that are good receiving backs or good blocking backs. There's a lot that can do it.
Mm-hmm.
He's one that I don't necessarily think is going to get better. It's always a drawback that I have on Alabama running backs. But in terms of if you want somebody that's going to line up in a run-heavy scheme, Tennessee, Philadelphia, we run predominantly.
Yeah.
We are a heavy run team. He's the perfect fit. Now, who is a team that would fit that? Let me look at the board. I have a board of all the NFL teams, and usually Baltimore Ravens. Never mind. Fuck it. I'm done. I'm done talking now.
Him and JK?
Oh, God, that would be. And I know Gus is coming back, and I know they're not going to do that. But in a system like that, oh, good Lord. You give me 5 big, how did Brian Haynes used to say? Hogamollies.
Yeah.
In front of him? Oh, good Lord.
What if you put him in Pittsburgh with Najee, because they're going to have to run the ball a lot?
I wouldn't hate that. That scheme's not as downhill as you think it is.
Okay.
And I don't mean you. I mean, as people think it is.
Yeah.
People identify the Pittsburgh Steelers as a team that has these big hulking linemen, and they just run the ball down your throat. That's really not it. They had a lot of elements of spread. Now, do they keep that up? I don't really know.
It depends on who their quarterback's going to be.
Yeah, that's – I'll tell you another one. Just now that I've sat here and thought it out, and they won't do it because they invested a pick in a running back last year at Carolina. I would like him to take some of the work away from Christian McCaffrey. It's not as much necessarily of a scheme fit, but they would be a good tandem together because they do things that the other doesn't.
Well, that job belongs to Chuba Hubbard. And well, I mean, as long as Matt Rule's wife loves him, Chuba ain't going nowhere.
Yeah. So,
sorry about that.
I should have known Matt Rule was a disaster when we talked about how much his wife loved Chuba Hubbard.
Right. What was the story that she apparently called right before they picked him? And it's like, hey, you better take Chuba.
Yeah. My wife loves Jimmy Garoppolo. I understand that. Your wife loving Chuba Hubbard? I'm not so sure I understand that. And I'm not sure why anybody gives a fuck. That's the bigger question that I have.
Right.
Why does anybody give a shit what Miss Rule thinks? Because me thinks that you shouldn't.
All right, we are into the top 4 now. Top 4 of the top 13 here on the Top 13 Tuesday in the Sportsocracy.
This is the most, to me, this is the all-around back that people are missing on. It's James Cook. Yeah. I am so hammered on James Cook. There's 2 running backs in this draft that I would take in front of him. And I think they both can be 3-down backs.
Yeah.
James Cook's right on the edge of it. He's damn close to being a 3-down running back to me.
I mean, he's not as good as his brother, but how many people are?
I don't disagree with you.
Okay, thank you.
However, if you told me that a year in a legitimate strength and conditioning program, James Cook came into camp next year at 5'11", 210, and let's say the 2 in front of him go to weird places, I could see a path that he would be dynasty fantasy football, the one I want.
Yeah.
If you told me that one outside of the top 2 became top 10 running backs in the NFL, I'd bet my house on James Cook.
I like him a lot. You know that.
He doesn't really have – I'm not going to say he doesn't have a flaw. he doesn't have a fatal flaw. What a lot of people have dinged him on is, well, we've never seen him behind a line that wasn't far superior to everybody they play. How many guys, I really want you to look at this screen because I've heard that exact narrative.
Mm-hmm.
How many guys on this screen played for teams where they were not drastically better than who they played? Half the time at worst.
Yeah, I don't see
To me,
one.
that's one of those stupid things that people say.
Yeah, I don't see one.
Of, oh, he got what was blocked for him. You're watching a different tape than I am. So I don't really see what you're seeing.
Yeah.
James Cook's not a zone running back. I'm just going to get into it. He's one of the big knocks on him is there are times that you see the pulling guard get out in front of him, and he runs into the guard, or he outruns his coverage, or he outruns his blocking. I mean, I get that. That just tells me I don't want you in a zone scheme. But there is a burst in this kid that is insane.
Mm-hmm. And the hands.
Oh, he's got real good hands.
The hands are the thing that clinch it for me. I mean, I felt the same, and I get it's the same team. It's the same kind of a scheme. But Nick Chubb, Sony Michel, it was a deathly duo when they were at Georgia. And I always felt like Zamir White and James Cook were that. And James played the Sony role of, I'm the guy that's going to get out in the flat. I'm going to go on the wheel route. You're going to find me down the field, and I'm just going to make things happen. Whereas Zamir and Chubb were more the bruisers of the system. And this is now flipped because I've always felt James was the better, where I always knew that Nick Chubb was the better of the two beforehand. But James, I mean, he's just got a different gear.
In the comments, I lost it. In the comments, Tyler Cunningham asked me if Hassan Haskins died. No, he didn't die. If I had a 14, of which I said this earlier, if I had a 14, it would now be Hassan Haskins because Zonovan Knight took Zach Carbonet's spot. Mm-hmm. I really hated the tape I saw from Hassan Haskins. Hassan Haskins against Georgia was really bad. Mm-hmm. Against Iowa was pretty bad. And yeah, he had some big games, but I mean, be really honest with yourself. Okay, he had the huge game against Ohio State. He had a great game against Penn State. The other big games were against Indiana, Nebraska, and Northwestern, and Washington, who sucked out loud. Mm-hmm. There were too many times that he just completely disappeared. Wisconsin, good defense. Yeah, he averaged 2.4 yards a carry. I'm not saying he can't be a good running back in this league. I think it's going to really depend at where he goes. That's going to be one of my big drawbacks on Haskins. And I think he's going to get overdrafted based on that Ohio State game. Mm-hmm. You see guys have 5 touchdown games in the biggest game of the year outside of the playoff.
Like Trey Sermon?
Damn it. I've now muted myself with the bell, and I've tried to ring the bell with my damn mute button.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that I don't like Hassan Haskins. It's so inconsistent. And when you're picking nits, which I'm telling you right now, from about 6 to 16, you are. Mm-hmm. That's the reason he would be below that for me. James Cook's back to the original topic there.
Yeah.
James Cook has the ability to be. I'm not going to say he's going to be that he could be better than his brother. He can be much closer than you think. Mm-hmm. Have you ever noticed that running backs tend to leave Georgia and get better?
I mean, do they?
Todd Gurley was the best running back in the NFL for 2 years. And he was great at Georgia.
I was going to say he was
great at Georgia.
One of the best running backs in the country.
He was.
Yeah.
Nick Chubb.
Yeah. Well, it's because
Nick Chubb outperformed
because you go to a place where you're the only guy, or you're the star guy.
And that's the thing.
Yeah.
When you're splitting the workload, it's really easy for you to get overlooked. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of, whether people want to admit this or not, they do look at bulk stats and go, well, he only had 850 yards. And?
Right.
I don't give a damn how many yards you had.
The guy running next to him
I don't care if you had 40 yards. If I saw burst in you and I think I can coach it, I'm in.
Yeah.
And I see it in James Cook.
Mm-hmm. At number 2, Isaiah Spiller from Texas A&M.
I'm not going to say I had to be sold on Isaiah Spiller. I was not as impressed at first glance as I was after watching a little deeper.
Okay.
Blocking, let's just not even talk about it.
Okay.
Because he's not particularly good at it.
That's fair.
He's not he's not the quick twitch running back. I think he can be a high-level receiving back in this league. And I think he's got the body of a 3-down back. I've read this book before of a guy where all of the knocks on them are just little nitpicky shit. And they tend to go into the NFL and become way better.
Mm-hmm.
Isaiah Spiller could be a 3-down back in this league. And I think he's going to be drafted that way.
Yeah.
I firmly believe Isaiah Spiller will be the first running back taken in this draft.
Really?
I do.
Okay.
I think he will be the first running back taken in this draft for better or for worse. And I don't really know a way to say this other than how I'm going to say it. I wish somebody would pick him up and show him that his hips work.
Okay.
He runs like I've always pictured Arnold Schwarzenegger would run. Like there's so much bulk on you that you just you don't turn well. It's a line that I've said on the show before. He's an 18-wheeler. Mm-hmm. You don't turn so good.
Right.
But by God, if he gets going downhill, yeah. Yes.
So he's got the power to run over you, but does he have the speed to run away from you?
I think he does. I mean, he's not going to run okay, that's how I should have said that. What he runs will determine whether he's the first back off the board or not. I could see him running as slow as a 4.6.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he's going to do that, but I don't really see him running any faster than 4.5. And there are some scouts that just can't wrap their head around a running back that's not fast.
Right.
But now he's got a cutback ability that is second to none. I mean, he's got an ability to make chicken salad out of chicken shit.
Mm-hmm.
That's better than any running back in this class. The thing that bothers me, he's just not fluid. There's something about the way he runs that really bothers me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying it's, again, we're picking nits. But there's something about how clunky he looks at times.
So he doesn't have the jump cut or what?
No, he can do that. It's when things are blocked right, I don't always see things go as well as they should.
Okay.
It's when everything goes to hell in a handbasket, that's when I go, that's the best play you had all day. Sometimes I have to sound this shit out because I do this without, notes and shit.
Right. All right. And then that leads us to number 1. Number 1 in the 2022 draft class, per Flostradamus, Jeremy Greene, here on the Top 13 Tuesday, it's Breece Hall, a running back out of Iowa State.
Oh, tell me what Breece Hall doesn't do well.
Let me guess. He doesn't block well.
He's not a great pass blocker. He's not as bad as some of the guys we've talked about.
Right.
That's it. That's it.
That's the only thing I could come up with.
He's going to be one of the fastest running backs in this class.
Mm-hmm.
He's built like a brick shithouse. He runs between the tackles well. He catches well.
Is he 6'2"?
6'1", 6'2", somewhere in there.
All right.
About 220.
Whew. That's a big boy.
He's going to run in the 4.3s.
Mm-hmm.
Unless he falls down, he's going to run in the 4.3s. He's got the best eyes of any running back in the class. He's the most patient runner in this class. I see people rate other running backs ahead of him, and I go, but why? What in the fuck could you possibly have seen from anybody else that would put him ahead of him? To me, Breece Hall is Jonathan Taylor.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah,
I mean, he's going to be that good?
Yeah. In the right system, he can be that good. There is one, if you wanted me to give you a negative.
Okay.
There are a lot of carries on that kid. I mean, a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know that he's going to be a 8-year running back in the league. Pan said Breece doesn't have brilliant speed. Get him out in space. I'm just going to tell you that Iowa State team was not as good as everybody thought. Get him out in space and watch him at the combine. Because I promise you he will run. And he will run real damn fast. I mean, real damn fast. So I love this kid. To me, there's no doubt. If I was the Miami Dolphins, I don't even think about it.
That's the guy.
I'm never, ever a fan of taking a running back in the first round.
You'd be okay
Miami,
with
I'd consider it.
Okay.
I'd consider it with him.
All right.
I really would. Because I think with the situation that you have with Tua Tagovailoa, you have to do something to help him. One of the reasons that he looked so blindingly inconsistent is because he had Myles Gaskin and the ghost of Philip Lindsay and just Malcolm Brown running behind him. This is a dude in a draft that does not have a lot of dudes. And yeah, I like Isaiah Spiller, and yeah, I like James Cook. There is no shot. There's probably not 3 teams in the NFL that could take Breece Hall where I wouldn't say, yeah, he's the number one running back in this class. Number one running back in this class should be the first running back you take in fantasy football drafts. I feel like the inconsistency of Brock Purdy is what's holding him back. I feel like that team wasn't as good as some people, me included, thought they would be. And people are blaming it on Breece Hall. And I cannot for the life of me figure that out.
Okay.
I don't see what it is that people ding him on. I hear some people say he's not a great blocker. I don't agree with you. It's not his fault that Brock Purdy holds on to the ball too damn long. And I love Brock Purdy. Friends with his sister.
You wish
on
you
Instagram.
Were
on Instagram.
Say, you wish we follow. You're a stalker of his.
No, I am
sister.
Not. She just appears in my timeline on the Instagram from time to time.
Yeah,
and her last name fits.
That's
all I'm trying to say.
No particular reason.
Yeah, I think it's because if you click on it, it goes higher okay. I've clicked on it a time or two.
Yeah, exactly. The algorithm is telling on you.
The other thing I've heard is, but he doesn't break a lot of tackles. I don't 100% dispute that. But I don't really know that I care. He's so shifty and he's so good that, there were very few times at Iowa State that it wasn't blocked for a 3-yard gain and he got 4. Because somebody hits him in the hole and forward you go.
Yep.
That'll be the first. He falls forward that you hear of this year. That's a fun buzzword when I talk about running backs at the draft. I try to not break those out until draft night because I'm going to say it. I will say falls forward as many times about running backs as I usually say markedly.
Right. Okay. All right. So that's your top 13. Sans Zach Charbonnet.
Yeah, Zach Charbonnet he went back to school, so he doesn't count.
So number 13 on the list should have been
Zonovan
Bam Knight
from
NC State.
Yeah.
And then after that, who else? Who else is on your radar? You already mentioned Pierre. What was his name?
Pierre Strong.
Out
of San Diego State. I like him.
South Dakota State.
What did I say?
San Diego.
Did I really?
You did. It's DSU.
Good Lord.
I do that all the time.
Other guys that I like in this class, Tyler Goodson, he's a little short. And I'm always nervous of Iowa running backs. Because they have so many unbelievable linemen. It makes me a little nervous with running backs like that, but he has some very high-level tape. He's a third-day guy that I could see being productive. Letty Brown, I would be remiss if I didn't point out the West Virginia guy. The West Virginia guy is to point out the West Virginia guy.
Right.
He's going to run super slow.
What about the kid from Missouri? Batty. How do you say his name? Tyler Batty.
You're asking me how to pronounce a name. I'm not. My problem with him is he's so short.
Okay.
And the thing he does is run between the tackles. He's a plus receiver, but not by much. It's not a plus by any stretch.
Mm-hmm.
I just think he's good. I mean, he's so small. I don't typically love insanely small running backs unless they're really good out of the backfield as receivers. And I'm not trying to slight the kid and say he can't do that. He certainly can. I just don't think he's as good at it as everybody else does.
Right. Ty Chandler from North Carolina.
There was some tape on him at Carolina that was fucking brutal. He got Sam Howell just absolutely killed in the Virginia Tech game, and I swear to you, I never thought Sam Howell trusted him again.
Yeah. He did have some brilliant games, though.
He had some good games. Master Teague had some good games. I mean, there's a ton of guys.
C.J. Verdell from Oregon.
He's another one that kind of falls into that. I'm looking down my rankings here to see if there's a guy that's really low that you've probably never heard of. I always like giving out the guy that people go, who?
Right.
One will come to me before we end this.
Okay.
Because I've got one, but I think I've got a better one. It's not clicking with me right now as to who that is.
I heard you mention earlier in the show Max Borghi from Washington State.
He's another one that could, if you're looking for somebody that can do that multiple Darren Sproulsy type thing, I just feel he's just a utility knife. I don't know that he has one skill that will really carry him through in the league, but I think he has a jack of all trades, master of none.
Mm-hmm.
But I do like him.
Okay, very cool.
I'm trying to find the.
You're trying to find that deep divey guy.
I'm trying to find the guy that went to like a directional technical school that I'm just like, hey, you don't know who this is, and I do.
Southwestern Poughkeepsie State University.
All right, I'm gonna go with the one that this is not as small school as I wanted. Kevin Marks from Buffalo. I like the way he's built, and I think there's room to grow there. He can also block, which is really unheard of for running backs nowadays.
Finally, a running back that can block.
Yeah, he can actually block. Now, the problem with him is that he doesn't run so good. So that is kind of a problem for running backs in the NFL because running is in the name.
Yes.
And
it's kind of important.
And I shouldn't say it so glibly. It's not that he can't run. It's just that virtually every running back in that system has been good at some point. And he had good games. Just he never had like Jared Patterson games or, and that makes you a little nervous because that team was so predicated on that.
Mm-hmm.
But he can block, and he's got really quick feet.
All right. I think that'll do it for the top 13 and some change running backs in the 2022 NFL Draft. Alex Majabi wants to know about Xander Horvath. What do you think of Xander Horvath?
Xander Horvath. I think he has a phenomenal name.
Yeah, Horvath is awesome. He's running back out of Purdue, 6'3", 220.
Let me verify this.
Mm-hmm.
You went rather down the board.
Xander Horvath.
I'm trying to remember if I have a draftable grade.
It's hilarious to me that there's a guy in this draft named that because that is what I call my wife when I want to insult her and not be so insensitive.
Horvath?
Hey, Horvath, come here.
I can't tell if you're making that up.
I'm not making that up at all. I'm not making it up at all. See? Lid's help.
Yeah, that would have saved your computer the first time. Thanks, Jason Trump. He is just on the outside of draftable grade for me. Okay. I don't have a draftable grade on him, but I've also got an asterisk next to him.
Which would be?
It can actually mean a couple things. Give me 2 seconds.
What we have?
Oh, he's in the Hula Bowl, or yeah.
I didn't even know they still did that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was the 15th of last month.
Okay.
I don't put much stock into that. I don't think that kid's got NFL athleticism to him, but I mean, could he be drafted? Sure.
We did not mention any Kentucky running backs. Are they all coming back to school? Chris Rodriguez coming back to school?
Chris Rodriguez is coming back to school, yeah.
Really? Mm-hmm. No Cavassier Smoke either?
Cavassier Smoke's he would be a seventh round
right.
Free agent.
I just, again, favorite names in college football. Cavassier Smoke, always going to be there.
Rob Johnson asked about Carbonate. So Zach Carbonate is going back to UCLA.
Mm-hmm.
I boo-boo kittied that at the beginning of this video. These new draft rules are so unbelievably fucking stupid. I got a press release sent to my email that I don't even know what it means. They sent me a list of declared guys. It was 100 names short, at least. Like that can't be the only guys that have declared. I mean, and I knew some off the top of my Xander Horvath. That's a good example of a guy that he had declared. So I hate these new coronavirus rules. They're stupid.
It's hard to keep up with who's eligible, who's not.
5 years. All right, you got this was the Rona year. Just lather up. If you're a fucking senior, Just, okay, come back.
All right. We will do Way Forward Wednesday tomorrow on the happy hour. Tomorrow, ESPN Asheville show starts promptly at 3 o'clock. We'll be back here with you in the Sportsocracy at that time. Until then, be well. Enjoy your evening. Enjoy the basketball tonight or whatever you're going to fill your time with. It's already saw where Patrick Holt has dipped out because his kid's got a basketball game tonight. So go Max if he's still watching or got it on in the car or whatever. But we'll be back with you tomorrow. I'm Tank Spencer. He's Jeremy Greene. We'll see you next time.